We're going to take a calm, unhurried walk through a comprehensive guide to diagnosing and fixing the 9 most common rose problems. If you've been feeling frustrated or maybe a little overwhelmed by your garden lately, just take a deep breath. You are in exactly the right place, and we're going to get this whole thing sorted out together. All right, let's just dive right in.
You know, roses are probably the most loved garden plant in the entire world. But here's the honest truth. They're also the most searched for plant on the internet. And those searches, they are almost never about how beautiful they are. No, they're about problems. Yellow leaves, black spots, no flowers, dying canes. If you've ever searched any of those exact questions, I understand your frustration completely. I mean, it looks alarming, right? But let me reassure you right here and now. Today's explainer answers every single one of those searches in one place. 9 problems, 9 exact fixes, literally everything you need to know. Because the truth is, roses are not difficult, they're just kind of demanding. Every single problem they develop has a clear cause and a straightforward solution. Oh, and I want to plant a little seed of curiosity for you right now. The 9th problem we're going to cover today is the one that destroys the most summer displays. And the absolute saddest part? It's caused by doing something that feels completely responsible and right. We'll get to that soon.
But first, let's transition into Section 1, the language of roses, to understand exactly why these problems develop in the very first place.
So, roses are among the most highly bred plants in the world. They've been meticulously selected for beauty, fragrance, and immense flower production over thousands of years. Now, that intense breeding has produced absolutely extraordinary plants, but also plants that respond clearly and very quickly to any imbalance in their care or environment. So the absolutely crucial point to remember is this: their problems are not a sign of weakness. Actually, scratch that. It's more like they are a communication system. Once you learn to speak their language, rose care becomes incredibly simple. Let's learn that language together.
Moving on to Section 2, Managing Fungal Infections. We'll dive straight into the most searched rose issue on the entire internet, black spot.
If you grow roses, well, you're eventually going to encounter black spot. It's so universal that experienced growers don't even talk about avoiding it. We just talk about managing it with calm authority. Black spot is caused by a specific fungus called Diplocarpon rosea. You'll easily spot it by those circular black spots with kind of ragged edges on the upper leaves, usually surrounded by yellowing tissue. If you just leave it completely untreated, the plant will entirely defoliate, stripping the rose of its ability to gather energy. Now, what's really fascinating here is the biological mechanism. It spreads entirely by water. Splashing rain or overhead watering physically carries the tiny spores from leaf to leaf. So the exact fix is a strict 3-step hygiene routine. Step 1, destroy all fallen leaves. Seriously, do not compost them. Step 2, water strictly at the base of the plant, never overhead. And Step 3, apply a homemade spray of 1 teaspoon baking soda and a drop of washing up liquid per liter of water every 7 to 10 days. Now, you can't cure the already infected leaves, but this absolutely prevents the spread to the healthy ones. It's highly manageable, and I promise you've got this.
Let's move along to problem 2, yellow leaves. Now, this diagnosis often confuses gardeners, but as you can see, the specific visual pattern on the leaf actually dictates the exact fix you need. For instance, bottom-up yellowing with dropping leaves, that means black spot, which we just covered. Uniform, kind of washed-out yellowing across the whole plant means a nitrogen deficiency, and you simply fix that with a balanced rose feed. But what if you see pale yellowing strictly between the green leaf veins? Well, that is interveinal chlorosis, which is just a fancy way of saying an iron deficiency.
And this brings us to a really surprising scientific fact. Iron deficiency is rarely about a lack of actual iron in the ground. It's almost always caused by soil that is too alkaline, meaning a pH above 7. That high alkalinity literally locks the nutrient out of the plant's roots, no matter how much iron is naturally sitting right there in the earth. Roses vastly prefer a soil pH of exactly 6 to 6.5, so you just adjust your soil gradually with an ericaceous compost mulch or some sulfur chips and maybe apply a liquid chelated iron supplement for a quick boost. Please don't let the science intimidate you. It's a very simple soil adjustment, and that rich green color will return beautifully in just a few weeks.
And just a brief reminder as we keep moving along, the most surprising problem on our list, caused entirely by your very best intentions, is still waiting for you at the end.
All right, this brings us to Section 3, Nutrients, Pests, and Blooms. Let's look at Problem 3, Powdery Mildew. So, powdery mildew is that white, pale gray powdery deposit that coats the soft, new growth. Now, unlike black spot, which actively needs wet leaves to travel, powdery mildew surprisingly thrives in warm, dry air combined with high humidity at night. You'll see the infected leaves kind of curl up, distort, and eventually just drop off.
The truly fascinating reframing fact here is that drought-stressed plants actually develop weaker, thinner cell walls, making it so much easier for the mildew fungus to physically penetrate the leaf. So, what's the fix? Improve air circulation by pruning out congested stems. Water consistently at the roots to strengthen those cellular walls, and apply a regular preventative spray of 1 part milk to 9 parts water. I know, it sounds incredibly unusual, but the proteins in the milk interact with the sun to wonderfully suppress the mildew. Just keep them watered and they'll fight it off on their own.
Problem 4 brings us to aphids. Greenfly and blackfly absolutely love clustering on the softest, newest growth, stunting those vulnerable shoots and leaving behind this sticky honeydew. You might be wondering where they come from so suddenly, right? Well, they blow in on the wind or hatch from overwintering eggs hidden right in the bark, and they multiply with astonishing exponential speed. Sometimes you'll even see garden ants actively farming them to harvest that sweet honeydew. It looks super alarming, but the fix here is wonderfully simple. A strong, daily jet of water from your garden hose physically blasts them right off. It is vastly superior to broad-spectrum insecticides. Why? Because harsh chemicals kill the natural predators, like ladybirds, lacewings, and blue tits, which actually makes your future aphid problems so much worse. Stick to water, encourage those beautiful predators, or use a gentle insecticidal soap spray. Nature will balance itself out beautifully if you just give it a little nudge.
We are getting closer to the 9th problem. That counterintuitive mistake is rapidly approaching.
Moving on to problem 5, failure to flower. Honestly, nothing is more frustrating for a gardener, but it always comes down to 5 distinct, highly manageable causes. First, insufficient sunlight. Roses simply must have at least 6 hours of direct sun. Second, incorrect spring pruning. Third, growing a once-blooming variety is a classic trap. These beautiful heritage roses only ever bloom on old wood, so if you aggressively prune them in spring, you've accidentally cut off all of this year's flowers. Then there's severe drought stress. You can tell it's severe when the leaf edges turn brown and crispy, rather than just that temporary midday droop. But the most surprising culprit? High nitrogen feed. If your rose looks incredibly lush, towering, and deeply green but has absolutely no flowers, you're accidentally pushing leafy vegetative growth at the total expense of blooms. Just stop the nitrogen, switch immediately to a high potash feed like a liquid tomato fertilizer, and the beautiful flowers will absolutely follow. It's a very easy fix.
Let's transition to section 4, serious structural threats, specifically looking at problem 6, rose dieback.
Now this looks catastrophic, but please do not worry. Dieback is the progressive browning and blackening of individual canes right from the tip downward. It's usually caused by a fungal canker entering through a wound, or sometimes severe winter frost damage. The fix requires urgent, decisive action. Speed is absolutely crucial here. You must prune the affected cane cleanly back to healthy, bright white tissue. If you make a cut and see a brown stain in the center of the stem, just keep cutting lower until it is pure, healthy white. Cut at an angle just above an outward-facing bud so water naturally runs off, and carefully remove all that pruned material away from your garden. You can confidently stop this infection perfectly in its tracks if you just act promptly and firmly.
Problem 7 is rose rust. It's dramatic, but often missed completely by gardeners because it deliberately hides underneath the leaves. While the top of the leaf might just show vague, pale patches, the underside will be entirely covered in bright orange or rust-colored powdery pustules. It visually ruins the plant and severely weakens it. The surprising fact about rust is its life cycle. Those spores actually overwinter on fallen garden debris, just waiting for cool, moist summer breezes to splash them back up onto your fresh foliage. But here is the highly reassuring news. It's managed identically to black spot. Excellent hygiene, clearing all fallen leaves, avoiding any overhead watering, and employing your trusty baking soda spray. You already possess the exact knowledge to handle this perfectly.
And now, the most counterintuitive problem is next. We have almost arrived. But first, let's take a quick moment for problem 8. Poor establishment. Say you buy a beautiful, expensive rose, planted carefully, and it just refuses to put on new growth. Well, this usually comes down to planting depth. You must ensure the grafted bud union is right at soil level, or maybe just below it in colder climates. It could also be compacted, oxygen-starved soil. But the most surprising cause is something called replant disorder. If you plant a brand new rose exactly where an old, established rose just grew, the soil biology and microbial life are fundamentally imbalanced against the new roots. The old rose has literally changed the soil. Always physically replace the soil in that hole, or just pick an entirely new spot. So, we are finally here, the most damaging problem of all. the one done with the absolute best of intentions by attentive, careful gardeners exactly like you.
Problem 9 brings us to our final section, the summer pruning mistake.
I know exactly what you've done. After that breathtaking first flush of June flowers fades, the plant looks a little bit tired and messy. Your natural instinct is to be deeply responsible. You go out with your secateurs and you deadhead generously. You cut back tidily, deep into the mature wood, fully believing you are encouraging that glorious second flush. It feels completely right. It looks neat. But biologically, cutting deep into old wood during the peak of summer entirely removes the vital photosynthetic foliage the plant desperately needs to manufacture sugars and power the next round of flowers. Instead of instantly creating new flower buds, the exhausted plant now has to spend 4 to 6 weeks frantically regrowing the essential green leaves you just cut off.
The fix is a precise, beautifully gentle deadheading technique. When a summer flower fades, you only ever remove the flower head itself, cutting back just down the stem to the very first, strong 5-leaflet leaf. That is the golden rule. Never cut deeper during the summer months. That 5-leaflet junction is exactly where the next flower bud is already waiting to rapidly develop. Just leave the remaining foliage alone to do its crucial job of feeding the plant. I promise you with complete certainty this single simple adjustment will entirely transform your late summer garden from this season forward.
And there we have it. Let's move to our final section, your rose care summary, to briefly review everything we've learned today.
Just take a look at this list. Every single cause has a clear, straightforward fix. Black spot and rust? They just need good hygiene and base watering. Yellow leaves simply ask you to match the pattern to the right feed or do a quick soil pH adjustment. Mildew just needs airflow and consistent root watering. Aphids surrender to a simple water jet from the hose. No flowers? Just check your light and switch over to a high potash feed. Dieback needs prompt, clean cuts to white tissue. Poor growth means checking your initial soil prep. And over pruning, just remember that gentle 5-leaflet cut. Roses will beautifully, generously reward those who take the time to learn their language. You are entirely capable of fixing every single one of these.
You know, roses are truly not difficult plants. They are utterly fascinating once you deeply understand what they are patiently trying to tell you. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below telling me which of these 9 problems you've been dealing with. I literally read every single comment, and I'm right here to help you succeed. But before you go, I want to leave you with this final thought. If these 9 alarming problems are actually just your rose attempting to communicate its needs, what else is your wider garden trying to say that you haven't learned to listen to yet? Something to think about next time you step outside. Happy growing, everyone.